further progress of this bill. Thank you.
Call Eugenia Sage. I'll ring the bell at 4
Speaker.
minutes.
Thank you. Mr Speaker, the Green Party is opposing this bill because it makes a fundamental attack on conservation legislation. In the Schedule 4 debate in 2010, when 50,000 people marched down Queen Street in support of protection of national parks and not opening up mining, the National Party sought to get out of the can of worms that it had opened there by promising that there would be public consultation on access applications on conservation land. And certainly this bill introduces and makes provision for that. But, Mr Speaker, the bill substantially weakens the process for considering access applications on conservation land because of its provision for those decisions to be made jointly by the Ministers of Conservation and Energy, and because of the introduction of the economic benefits test. We have seen this week, Mr Speaker, when Ministers Joyce and English were putting pressure on conservation groups, environmental interests who are quite legitimately involved in a case before the Environment Court on the resource consent applications for the Bathurst mine on the Denniston Plateau, putting pressure on those objectives to withdraw. Now, it's obvious that the ministers and others on the national benches have not been to Denniston, are not aware of the outstanding landscape and biodiversity values on the Denniston Plateau and the significance of those coal measure ecosystems which are protected as conservation land. The risk is that if you have a joint decision-making power, as the bill provides, you will have the Minister of Energy and his views overriding those of the Minister of Conservation and the Department of Conservation. We've already seen that with the Maui dolphin decision and the Minister of Primary Industries and that department's views overriding the Department of Conservation's views about the need to protect Maui dolphin. So where you get that joint decision-making power, the user department's views prevail. The other major defect in the bill is the way in which it amends Section 61 of the Crown Minerals Act. And it's Section 61 which sets out the matters that the appropriate minister must have regard to in considering whether to agree to an access arrangement. And that's the objectives of any act under which the land is administered and the purpose for which the land is held by the Crown. Now, the bill in Clause 31 introduces an economic benefits test and requires the ministers to consider the economic and other benefits of the proposed activity in relation to which the access arrangement is sought. Now, that is a fundamental weakening of conservation legislation because it means the ministers will be weighing up the economic benefits as well as the conservation purpose for which the land is held. And we know under this government that economic benefits always triumph over nature, and that the short-term gains of opening an open-cast coal mine on the Denniston Plateau would potentially triumph over the biodiversity values. And that is despite the fact that the Denniston Plateau is increasingly popular as a mountain biking destination, as a place where people go to recreate, to look at the outstanding landscapes, the rock tours, the gullies, the stunted vegetation which is special only to coal measure ecosystems. So by introducing this economic benefit test, that will override conservation values, and that's why everyone, particularly conservation groups, anyone concerned about the future of conservation land, should be concerned about this bill because it cuts across the protective provisions that exist in the Conservation Act. So, Mr Speaker, yes, the public may get the opportunity to make a submission on access arrangements if it is significant in the Minister's opinion, or Minister's opinion, but this weakening of the Act potentially means that it will be much easier for those mining access applications to be approved. That's one of the reasons why the Green Party is opposing this bill, because it is an attack on our conservation legislation.
Very good. I call Alfred Narrow.
Mr Speaker, I'm privileged to take a